This is a really good question. So I like to think of it like this. Imagine that as a soul, we are a puzzle. Like imagine a puzzle that's sitting on a table. Now this puzzle has an image of our divine self, our highest self that we will eventually realign with. To go on the human journey is basically like this puzzle piece. It turns all blank. It's just a plain white. The picture goes away, but there's still the outline. There's still the picture. It just becomes invisible because that dimension doesn't translate to this one, the higher dimension. It makes us lose the clear sight of who we are. That's the human experience. That's kind of why we come here, to experience every thought, every emotion, and see what it means to us in our unfolding of our journey. So imagine that we're just up in heaven and God's like, hey, you want to go down to earth? And you're like, yeah, sure. So that puzzle is taken and basically just thrown down. And then you have to go around and recollect the pieces of this puzzle that is you and put them back on the table. Once you put them back on the table, all of them, and put them all together, you remember who you are because you can see the picture clear as day. The white screen that it was, the clear white screen, once every piece of the puzzle is in place, that transforms into showing you who you truly are again, because you remember, because you went through the journey of collecting all the pieces of the puzzle. So a wound then, especially one that's been repressed for a very long time, imagine it as the puzzle piece is dug deep in the dirt, okay? And you were going along your journey, and somehow, some way, you were in the woods at the perfect time and you found this puzzle piece. It undug itself and it was sitting on top of the dirt. That's kind of what it is when you unlock these repressed memories unintentionally, like in this case. So the puzzle piece has dirt on it. In order to get the puzzle piece to sit perfectly in the puzzle so that when it's all put together, you can see the image of who you truly are, we need to get the dirt off of it, right? So to do that, basically addressing how is it making you feel. It's not coming back up to hurt you. It's coming back up because you need to put it on the table because it's part of who you are as a whole. But you need to get the dirt off of it so that it's not sitting up a little bit higher, because if it's not all even and flat, that image of who you truly are isn't going to pop back up until it's all not filled with dirt of who you're not, right? So when it comes back to the surface, it's essentially not a punishment, but it's meant to be a blessing in disguise. It's disguised because it's covered in dirt and you're like, I don't want to hang out with this. Why is this randomly coming up Tuesday in the middle of a work day? I don't want that. I don't want to think about this. But really it's coming back up so you can say, oh, there's a puzzle piece. I need to clear it off and see what I feel about it, and what I feel about it, how I feel about the emotions that are involved or surrounding it, is what clears that dirt off. It's basically, the human experience is to collect all the feelings, emotions, and translate them into what it really feels like to experience them, as opposed to just being able to read them in a book and say, oh, angry feels like you're all fired up and you want to get out of the room. Okay, but if you're really angry and you're feeling that, it translates differently. So basically, clearing off the dirt from the puzzle piece is you acknowledging that you now know what you were supposed to learn from that experience. And you can release it because you're not stuck in the pain of it, and you're able to see it for what it is, which is a piece of your journey that ultimately helps lead you back to who you are. And we need to fall to learn to rise and heal. And when you're able to take the puzzle piece and say, okay, there's a little dirt on it and this may be uncomfortable, but I'm going to acknowledge how this made me feel. That can be recording yourself talking, writing, channeled writing or music, or playing music, or going out in nature, finding a way to hold space and release, basically shaking off the dirt. And then you're left with the puzzle piece, which you put back on the table, and that may not be your final puzzle piece, but the puzzle wouldn't have been able to be completed without that puzzle piece ultimately in the end. Hopefully that makes sense.